Hey, Coach, want to ask you about FSU's defensive line. Seems like it's one of their strengths on that side of the ball. And what impresses you about?
I'm here. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. What impresses you about what they've shown on tape? And then if you don't mind, like how do they maybe compare to other D lines you guys have seen this year?
It's a great question. I think first of all, I think Adam's done a great job there in from year one to year two, really transforming that side of the ball. They're a completely different unit when you pop on the film this year than they were a year ago. They did bring in a lot of transfers, but that defensive front, it may be as good as we've faced. It's definitely the best we've faced probably since Michigan State and Alabama. The Jermaine Johnson, number 11, he's a problem. Fabian, I think he's number 0, and then Cooper, who returns. Those guys inside are a problem. Kier Thomas, who came from South Carolina. They're starting 4 really good, but the 4 they got behind them, they have a lot of size. They're playing physical. They're use their hands well. So it's definitely, I think, as good of a unit we've seen at least since Michigan State, and maybe till we get on the field. And I think they may be twitchier and have a little bit better pass rush get off. So it starts up front with those guys, but they play well everywhere. They've improved. Jamie Robinson, the safety nickel, is a really good player. He's a transfer in, and then they've still got Dent and Brownlee and some other guys on the back end. So I think you can also see a big difference in like their first 4 games of the year and like their last 4 or 5 games. They've simplified their scheme. Their guys know what to do. They're playing hard. They're playing with a lot of confidence. And I mean, you can argue the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks they've been playing as good as any unit in our league. So it's going to be a great challenge.
And along those lines, the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, your O-line has pass protected well, right? I mean, do you feel like it's going to be a good test of where they're at?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, those guys are playing a lot of confidence and playing well together. But specifically Johnson and Thomas on the edge, but their inside guys, can really get some push too. It's been a while since we've faced this kind of challenge, so it'll be really good to see how our guys respond.
Coach, we'll go next to Manny Navarro from The Athletic. Manny, go ahead.
Hey, Rhett. Congrats on the last 3 wins here. Curious as far as Rooster. I know he says he can carry the ball, 50 times a game or whatever if need be, but obviously Coach mentioned, you need to kind of get some of the backups involved, maybe just to help preserve Rooster's body some. Where is Stat Franklin? I know Miami fans are clamoring for him. He's a hometown kid. Is he progressing at all, where maybe you think he's going to get more involved? And then Cody Brown, I know he runs the ball well, but just where do you think he is in his development here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Rooster was kind of a warrior for us on Saturday, carrying it over 30 times. That's a lot for any back, and he was tough, and it probably hurt us a little bit down there at the stretch on some of that short yardage stuff when he wasn't as fresh as we needed him to be. And no excuse, we should have picked it up, but we do need Cody and Thad to raise their level to the point that we can try to take some of that off of Jalen. And we have confidence in those 2 guys, so they're going to be competing this week for that opportunity. And we'll see what other options we have to try to. We want to get the ball to Jalen a lot. It's a good thing, but there is a fine line between overworking him and keeping him fresh and keeping him effective and keeping him healthy. So, for whatever reason, Cody just wasn't seeing it as like he normally does the other day. And so Thad hopped in there and had a couple plays for us. And like I said, you're getting to week 10 now. Cody's played some ball. Thad's been with us now for 3 or 4 months. Those guys, we need them to step up and take some of that load off. And we fully, we're going to give them that opportunity to compete this week to do it. And like I said, we fully expect one of those guys, if not both, to raise their level and be able to do that for us.
Coach, we'll go next to Kobe Price from the Sun Sentinel. Kobe, go ahead.
Hey, Rhett. Kind of following up on some earlier questions about the offensive line. Got a couple questions maybe. One, it seemed like when Jalen ran to the right, going towards more Jarrett Williams sides, it seemed like he had more of explosive plays. I guess what has Jarrett brought to the offensive line since, being brought back into the starting unit from both, I guess, a run blocking, but also pass blocking standpoint?
Yeah, Jarrett's been playing really well. I think, you look at Jarrett and DJ, who were on that right side of the line for us most of the year last year. And I think both of those guys are playing at a much higher level than they did a year ago at those same spots. And, Jared's long. I mean, Jared's almost 6'7", and he's played a lot of ball. I mean, he's by far the oldest guy here, maybe in college football. And so I think just that experience and his second year and what we're trying to do here, I think he's playing with a lot of confidence. As far as the right and left side of the line, I'm not saying you're wrong. I hadn't noticed that. I mean, it may have just been coincidence. It may have been because, Jared's played, but he's definitely been very consistent for us, these last 4 or 5 weeks.
And obviously this week's Florida State week. What have you learned about this rivalry that you may not have known before, now that you're on the inside of it over the past, I guess, year and a half?
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, it's the game. Everybody knows their number. I've played them twice before in my career. Once was last year and once was in 2013. Never played them at Doak Campbell. I know that place is going to be an incredible atmosphere for us to go in and try to compete. But just the history of this rivalry, the tradition of this rivalry, and the importance of it to us, to our players, to our school, to our program. We have the countdown clock year round up for this game for a reason. And, we were really happy to get the win Saturday, but it wasn't 2 minutes afterwards in the locker room we were talking about this game because we have a lot of respect for them. And like I said, you flip the film on yesterday, and it's nothing like you thought you would see. That defensive side of the ball, it's a completely different unit. So we got our hands full.
Coach, we'll go next to Matt Shodell from Kane Sport. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Rhett. So I wanted to ask you, it seems like Georgia Tech was expecting those short yardage runs up the middle. Like I noticed late shifts with the tackles right into the gut where you were running. Like how do you adjust, based on what it seems defenses are doing against that? I know it can be like, hey, we just need a yard, like let's outpower them. But like, it didn't work 5 times. So like where do you go from here with that?
Yeah, I think everybody on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 is expecting to, you to run the ball and run it up the middle. So I don't think they're not to take anything away from them. We were disappointed with our performance, both taking care of the football in those short yardage situations, in a day where you feel like you played pretty well, but there was about 7 plays, 4 3rd and 1 to 4th and 1s that we didn't convert. And then the 3 turnovers that really made it a football game. And it's really disappointing for us offensively, on the first one, I believe it was a 3rd and 2, and Tyler misread it. He should have pulled it and thrown it to Will in the flats. We had an RPO, and Will would have got about 8 yards. He hands it off. The end makes the play. Misread. The very next play on 4th and 1, we go for it with Cody in the game, and our right side needed to block down, and we'd have probably got 4 or 5 yards. Our right side blocked out, and we turned a guy loose up the middle, and Cody ended up trying to jump over the top. Really, really bad ball by us. And then the last time we were up, I think 33-30, we got the ball, and Rooster stumbled on 2nd down, came up just short. We run a simple inside zone. We got everybody accounted for, and Ja'Kai slips and falls down, and the nose guard makes the play. It wasn't anything they'd done. It's just unfortunate. And then again on 4th and 1, we run a different version of a similar play with a read, and they blitz the guy off the edge. And if Tyler pulls the ball, he's at least getting 20 yards, may score. He didn't pull the ball, and the guy tackled the back. So it wasn't a schematic issue. It was an execution issue. Now, to your point, can we do some things to maybe take some pressure off those guys and give a little more relief? Yes. In the moment as a coach, you're sitting there going, man, after the first 1 or 2, what, but that the yard or 2 is there to be had. It's just, and you don't continue to expect that we're not going to do stuff we do on a normal basis. So we got to do some things to keep people off balance. But 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 or a half a yard, we got to be able to pick that up. The whole world needs to be knowing where we're running. We got to be able to get it. So we've really got to improve that because it almost cost us the game the other day.
Coach, we got a couple more hands up. We'll go to Daryl Streeter from Footballville. Daryl, go ahead for Coach Lashlee.
Yeah, Coach, how you doing today?
Hey, what's going on?
Bashard Smith, is there a plan to use Bashard Smith more as a traditional wide receiver or even touches at running back? And I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, and we go into the game with several touch options for Bashard, and like I said, the last few weeks we've been playing really well, and it just never got into the flow. We got him in there the other day, and he's kind of a lightning rod for a defense. They know when he's in, there's a good chance he's getting the ball because I think it's a twofold thing. I mean, first of all, I think Bashard Smith is going to be an electric elite player here. We're fired up about him. But when you got Mike Harley and Xavier Restrepo with all the experience and playing at the level they are, who you going to take off the field on a normal, situation to play at receiver. And so that's one thing. And the other, he's a true freshman. And there's a lot that goes into it other than just being really talented and really fast. And we've been really pleased with Brashard's progress. I do think, to your point, Brashard has a great skill set. His attitude's been awesome. And whether it's, some situational things like we have been doing, or whether it's getting him in more just on normal downs at receiver or running back or wherever else, we've got a good problem. We've got a lot of good playmakers. You look at Romello Brinson and Jacoby George making plays in the opening drive the other day. But we also have, Charleston Rambo playing at a high level and Keyshawn Smith playing at a high level. So all those guys are playing. It's a good problem. Brashard's a guy that for us does have some explosion. So any opportunity we can get to get him going, we'd love to do that.
Okay, and the recent success in the running game, could you talk to us about that, or did you change anything? How did that happen?
No, continuity on the O-line and consistency at running back. It's that simple. And obviously we're throwing the ball well, so we've got good balance. That always helps. You get better run looks to run the ball into, I think. But again, since I've been here, we've had injuries and all kinds of things at running back. And this is probably the longest stretch with Jalen for about 5 weeks that we feel like we've had, a guy with some explosion that's been healthy and consistency. And same thing with the O-line. I think those guys all deserve a lot of credit. They're playing with a lot of confidence. And, that balance has really helped us. And again, I think we're finding our identity offensively. We've done a better job, spreading the ball around and throwing the ball. And that has obviously helped us run the ball at a better rate, obviously, other than short yardage the other day.
Okay, thanks.
Coach, last one for you. We've got Susan Miller-Degnan from the Miami Herald. Susan, go ahead.
Hi, Rhett. My internet has been down, so I hope you can hear me okay. But is this regarding Tyler Van Dyke? Do you think this game, and I'm sorry if you were asked this already, but is this game different, do you think, because of what you know about this rivalry, his first game in Tallahassee, constant war chant, or do you expect him to stay as cool as he previously has been? And the second part of that is, what is the biggest area in which he needs to improve on now?
I definitely think it's different. Because it's Miami, Florida State. And I think it would sound like great coach speak to say it's another game, but it's not. This is Miami, Florida State. And I've been really blessed to be here. Now this will be my second game in this rivalry. I've coached in 6 Iron Bowls. And when you play in those type of games, there's just an electric atmosphere, especially on the road, that it's just different. A lot of these guys grew up playing against each other, recruited by both schools. So there's just a different level of intensity and urgency, and you feel it in pregame warmups. You just feel the difference. I felt it here last year before our game, and that was in a COVID year where there was hardly anybody in the stands. It's just, there's a difference. So to say that this is just like any other game for Tyler or any of our guys would be just kind of coach speak. However, I do think now that he's got 5 straight league games under his belt, he's playing with a lot of confidence. He just got to go out and keep doing what he's doing. He doesn't have to be perfect. He's not going to be. Just keep playing with confidence. He's seeing everything really well right now. Keep giving guys opportunities and just distributing the ball. And he's done a really good job these last few weeks of bouncing back from either mistakes or misses, whether it be the interception last week at Pitt late, whether it be missing Rambo on the touchdown the other day late in the game that I think we ended up having to kick a field goal and we're still down 1. Little things like that. He's really hard on himself, but he's gotten really good at moving on. And so it's going to be critical in a game like this when the highs and lows, the ebbs and flows of the emotion and momentum are going to be probably higher than normal and felt more than normal, to just move on. When good things happen, move on. And when maybe the place is going crazy because something good happened for them, you got to move on. And, to me, him being, I think, a good example that gives you confidence he's going to do well was when the ball was basically touching our goal line at Pitt and the place was going crazy with 4 minutes to go. And he stands in the back of his own end zone and delivers a strike to Rambo to help us win the game. I think those are things that give you and give him confidence that, he's growing up each week. In terms of what can he do to get better, I still think experience is the biggest thing. Like I said, on 2 of our short yardage issues the other day, one, he could have pulled the ball and ran. Another one, he could have pulled the ball and thrown to Will, and we'd have probably picked him up. And, those are situations, honestly, that we hadn't had yet. A short yardage situation, that kind of play call with the defensive look they gave. And, he's really improved over the last 3 or 4 weeks, throwing the ball away, not taking unnecessary sacks, not throwing the ball up into coverage. But he still 2 or 3 times the other day kind of forced the issue with some throws that we got away with. And so I think continuing to do a good job of being aggressive, taking care of the ball. He's really improved playing in the pocket. And I think just, those are things that he's not perfect on every game. So I think the more and more he plays, I think the more consistent he'll be with those things.